Well, I am so excited with my featured expert today. Not only is he a fitness and personal trainer, he's also a life license qualification program completer. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but he is actually a Canadian investment funds expert. He completed the Canadian investment funds course in 2018. He works primarily with vegan investors, and he went from a life where that wasn't really his focus to where now it's 100% of his focus. So, Justin, welcome to the show. And if you could share with people a little bit about yourself, that would be great.
Happy to, Kathleen. Nice to see you today. My name is Justin Manning. I am Canada's vegan financial advisor, and I focus on helping Canadians with their health and wellness planning. And you hit the nail on the head. The LLQP is the Life License Qualification Program. So that's just a long-winded way of saying insurance license. And you're right, I got my Canadian Investment Funds course license in 2018, and I work with Canadians on their financial planning, and I help individuals, families, and business owners. And when it comes to business owners, helping them with their extended health benefits plan so they can take care of their number one asset, which is their employees.
Well, let's take a step back. You used to be a fitness trainer. Am I correct?
Yes, I did that for about 8 or 9 years. I did outdoor group boot camp before it was such a hot commodity, high-end in-home personal training. And I also was a corporate fitness trainer going to several different companies and doing group fitness classes for their employees.
And how did you go from being a fitness trainer to being a financial fitness trainer, if you will?
Yeah, great question. It was at the moment that I met my now wife. When I met her, I realized that I was going to be married. I was going to have kids at some point, and what did life look like in the future, and what did I do to get to that point? And I looked around at my fitness business, and I thought to myself, this has been a great hobby style business in my 20s, but it's time to make a transition into some more meaningful, impactful work. And I landed, like you said, helping people with their financial fitness.
So you've been vegan for how long?
11 years.
11 years. And tell us about what that was like to go from being a carnivore to now you're a vegan. What made you decide to become a vegan?
Yeah, one powerful statement that resonates with me is we don't know what we don't know. And that was me eating the standard American diet, or the SAD diet as it's known, all of my life, growing up that way. Didn't have anybody plant-based vegan or even vegetarian close to me growing up. And then I was raising money for blood cancer research, which took me to Anchorage, Alaska to run a full marathon, which I completed, but came out of it with a stress fracture in my leg, sidelined from all forms of exercise virtually for about a year. I ballooned up in weight, an extra 55, almost 60 pounds.
Wow.
And that was the first time that I looked at my plate and I thought, okay, there's something here. Stumbled across a book called Eat Right for Your Blood Type. Followed that quite religiously for a year. And during that period of time, I was still eating animal products, but I was on a personal journey of sort of cleaning up my nutrition, at least paying attention to it more than I have in the past. I was able to regain my ideal body weight after that year. And then I stumbled across the word vegan. I had no idea what it was, found out about it, tried some of the food, found it absolutely delicious. It was an easy switch for me. And here we are 11 years later.
That's incredible. Now, how long did it take you to let go of the 55 pounds that you had gained?
Yeah, it took me roughly about a year. So the amount of time that it took me to put it on, it took me to take it off.
And did you do that after you went vegan plant-based, or did you do it before that time? What's the story there?
So I came out of the marathon with the injury, ballooned up in weight. And then for the year that I was doing Eat Right for Your Blood Type, it was not a vegan plant-based diet. Mm-hmm. So I lost all the weight prior to finding out about veganism.
And yet you've been able to keep it off, which, you know, that's the interesting thing to me is like, I actually dropped about 38 pounds initially when I went plant-based September 2018, and it dropped pretty quickly. I actually lost more than was really healthy. I was about 15 pounds less than I am right now. And I was looking gaunt, and I felt good, but it just didn't look good. And so I've really balanced that out. But what's amazing is you don't have to count calories. You don't have to, if you're eating a whole food, plant-based vegan diet, it's pretty healthy. Now, is your wife vegan?
Yes, she is.
She is. Okay. Now, was she vegan when you met her, or did she go vegan?
She went vegan completely once we got together. Prior to that, though, when we initially met, she had already been on her own personal journey regarding what dairy did for her in her body, and she felt as though it wasn't serving her. So she had essentially eliminated that completely before we even met. And the same was starting to happen for her when it came to meat products. She was on her own journey before we met about how are these foods serving me, and she was on a journey of already sort of cutting that out. And naturally, I do a lot of the cooking, and as you know, the food is delicious, and so why not?
Well, you just said something. Naturally, I do most of the cooking. That's not always the case in households. The husband doesn't always do the cooking, and I love to hear that. That's you're a keeper. Well, I know you and I have a lot in common as far as I did a marathon and I injured myself. I actually broke my ankle, ballooned up. I was training for the Portland Marathon, and this was back about 12, 13 years ago. And as a result of the break, I obviously couldn't participate. Well, I gained a whole bunch of weight. Both my parents passed away during that time. And I got to my heaviest weight ever. And I was convinced that's the way it was going to be. But once I discovered a vegan plant-based lifestyle, it all changed. And what's interesting is I had gout at the time. I had plantar fasciitis. I never can pronounce that right, but I had that. I had really bad inflammation. None of that is a part of my life anymore. Now, I want to switch over to you're a vegan financial planner. What does that mean?
So what that means is yes, I am in fact vegan, and I am in the financial services space. And so for me, when I branded myself this way, I was thinking about the market that I'd like to serve and what does that look like. And like people who are plant-based vegan are very, very conscious of voting with their dollar. They'd like to know that where they put their money all the way along the trail is going to align with their values. And having my insurance license and helping people when it comes to financial planning with life insurance, disability insurance, critical illness insurance, and these products that are widely available really anywhere at your local bank or any type of advisor, my thought process was if somebody needs this type of service and they can essentially get it anywhere, why not work with someone who is 100% in alignment with your values? So there's that component of it. Me marketing myself this way brings in the type of crowd that I like to work with and like-minded individuals, business owners. And then as well, too, vegan investing and impact investing is a very, very hot topic. We're still very early in that field. I mean, last year it was reported by the Good Food Institute that there was $3.1 billion of investments going to alternative proteins, which was a skyrocketing increase from years previous. And we're only getting started. So
Right, right. Well, where do you see that market going? Because I know that we actually early on invested in Beyond Meats when they did their IPO, did really well with that investment, and it multiplied very quickly. And where do you see this industry going? Because I know there's a lot of startups that are getting equity funding, they're getting angel funding, and people are within the vegan community would like to invest in companies. How do they know where to invest? So let's start with where do you see things going?
So where I see things going is twofold. One is cell-based products, and every plant-based vegan has their own take on cell-based meat. At the end of the day, in terms of reducing animal suffering and also reducing human suffering, there is some cell-based science and tech coming out in the food space whereby it doesn't contain saturated fat. So we might actually be on the cusp of seeing come to fruition my vision, which is a world without heart disease. So a big trend is cell-based technology in the food sector. And then another important factor to note is funding going towards female founders and minority founders. The majority of money that's going towards founders right now are white males. And so that is another big shift that's changing as well.
Let me ask you about that. Now, is it that there are more white males that are starting companies, or is it that women and minorities have not been given the opportunity, or is it a combination of the two?
The latter.
Okay.
I honestly believe that it is a combination of both. And the more awareness and conversations that are held, the better off we're all going to be.
Okay. And how does somebody find a financial planner like yourself? Because I know that you work within Canada, but let's say somebody's in the States and they want to work with a vegan investor, financial investor. How do they find them?
Yeah, you know what? So I've actually, since branding myself as Canada's vegan financial advisor, I've had many people from the United States send me an email or reach out to me on LinkedIn and ask me if I can help them. And exactly to your point, because of geographical and licensing restrictions, I cannot. However, I've been able to cultivate a group. There's about 25 of us who are the vegan financial advisors, and we have our own little group on Facebook. And so right now, there's no site that I can point anybody towards, but if anybody is in the United States listening to this and it is landing and resonating for them, when the contact details for myself do come out through this conversation, feel free to get in contact with me and I can happily put you in touch with that group that is in the United States and they can be able to serve.
Okay. And I want to remind people that this is Kathleen Gage. You're listening to the Plant-Based Eating for Health podcast show. I'm talking with Justin Manning. He is out of British Columbia. He's a financial planner. He's a vegan. He's a fitness expert. And he works with a lot of vegan businesses on their investments. And how do people get in touch with you? What would be the best website or best social platform for them to find you on?
Yeah, I'm all over the place. My website is justinmanning.com. My email address is hello@justinmanning.com. And on most social platforms, it's Justin Manning V. And yes, the V is for vegan.
Okay. We'll make sure to put that down in the show notes. And, it's in my mind, I think that we could minimize a lot of the problems that we have with the pandemic, with the virus, if more people were plant-based and vegan, and if we eliminated animal products altogether. That's never going to happen in our lifetime. It's like far too many people are attached to that way of living, that way of eating. However, I do know that when people go into this lifestyle and they really commit to it, their health improves. I'm going to be 67 pretty soon, and my last checkup was amazing. My doctor is like giving me high fives, like, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. She knows what I'm doing. My health is great. And I see this with people that I surround myself with who are vegan and plant-based. Is it possible that at some point insurance companies would take this into consideration, just like they do the fact that people don't smoke, they get better rates? Is there going to come a day, from your perspective, that perhaps by people's food choices, they may get better insurance policy rates?
Yes, I believe so. And I could be mispronouncing or misunderstanding the name of the company, but it is in the US. And it is, I believe, I want to say Health IQ. I might be wrong on that. But anyway, they are in fact implementing that strategy that you talked about. If somebody, and they're going to the point of, if somebody is vegan, it is going to impact their rates. Now, up here in Canada, personally, my own term life insurance that I have has a rewards program built into it. And I just had my annual health checkup, my blood analysis and everything done. And the program is called Vitality. And I'm turning 35 shortly here in a month and a half or so. And through my results and my healthy lifestyle, my vitality age is actually listed as 32.
Wow.
So yes, I do believe that it's in the best interest of insurance companies, I believe, as well, because the healthier that their policy holders are, it's just a numbers game. The less payouts, the less risk. So yeah, I think we're in for a big disruption in the insurance space, specifically when it comes to healthy living and lifestyle. It's already starting to
That
happen.
would be great. That would now the vitality age. How does one like? I'd love to find out what my vitality age is because I know it's a lot younger than my chronological years. But how does somebody find that out?
Yeah, so it's a proprietary product from Manulife. They've partnered with a
Okay.
company called the Vitality Group. And so, based on these annual health checkups, along with some algorithms that they have when you log into the portal and enter some of your information and lifestyle habits into, it's then going to give you, in combination with blood pressure, height, weight, blood analysis, and it's going to give one their vitality age.
Excellent. Now, from your perspective, do you think that more people nowadays are choosing to go vegan and plant-based before they have a problem or once they're told, okay, you've got heart disease, you've got high blood pressure, you're setting yourself up for a stroke? Because a few years ago, during the time that I was caretaking my parents, my doctor told me that. She said, we're going to have to put you on meds. I was my heaviest weight ever. I was 212 pounds and I was a chunker. And I mean, I would just squeeze myself into my clothes and just denial was just full blown on me. But she said, if you do not change something, we're going to have to put you on medication because you're setting yourself up for a heart attack, a stroke, high blood pressure, the whole 9 yards. And now she just is so thrilled to see how healthy I am. But what would you say with people is the deciding factor? Is it before problems or after problems?
Yeah, that's a really great question, and there's a difference in paradigm. I think when it's after, it's seen more so, I believe, as sort of it's reactionary, maybe more of sort of a medicine, an alternative medicine approach. Whereas in advance, I think where the key to success is of course, I'm a firm believer prevention is better than cure. It's better to stop something bad from happening in the first place. And I really believe that the way to make that happen is with a focus on the food is delicious. There is no restrictive nature. There is no, oh, I can't have that. It's a difference in perspective. We can have whatever we want, but we choose to have this because we know it's going to serve us, the environment, and the animals better. And guess what? Bonus, it's just as delicious, if not more delicious, than the foods that we are grown up with.
Absolutely. I just started reading a book called The Dorito Factor, and they're talking about how watered down our foods are, whether it be the vegetables and fruits we eat, the meats, and they recommend organic, obviously, if you can afford it. But the one thing I hear from a lot of people is it's too expensive. And I think that really is about people buying the processed vegan food rather than going whole food. When you advise your clients, now, do you financially advise them or is it insurance only?
So it's my practice is focused around insurance
Mm-hmm.
for individuals and families, and then insurance when it comes to extended health benefit plans for companies to take care of their employees. The investment channel of my business is a referral partner called Just Wealth, and we focus on environmental, social governance investing, otherwise known as socially responsible investing. And the needle is just moving constantly towards actual ethical impact investing. So it's an exciting time.
I love that because actually, after I went vegan, I met with my financial planner and changed a lot of my investments out because there were things that I was investing in that let's just use this as an example, McDonald's, and it's like, oh no, 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 we cannot do that. So, how would you recommend to somebody without giving business advice, because I know you have restrictions on that, but how does somebody come to terms with the fact that a life insurance policy actually is a good idea? I have quite a bit on myself and my spouse has a lot on herself. And so how would you recommend?
Well, at the end of the day, the nice thing to know is that it is 100% of the control is within the consumer. So the most important asset that we all have is our health. Okay. And it does not matter how well, how great you eat, all the right things that you do. In the moment, like blink of an eye, it can be changed. And so that is the unique thing about insurance. It all begins with an application process. So the consumer has full control going through the application, seeing even if they can get that approval that they're looking for. Even once getting the approval and the policy is literally in their hands, at least here in Canada, there's what is known as a 10-day right of rescission. So that consumer can still, after everything has been done, 10 days say, you know what? Change my mind. I don't want it. I'd like a refund on the money that I paid to get this thing set up. No hidden fine print, no cancellation fees, nothing like that. So for those people who are interested in locking in their insurability and taking advantage of their current health state for future, that's where it all comes from. And again, there's no risk, no obligation. The control is 100% in the consumer.
Excellent. Excellent. And again, I want to remind people, this is Kathleen Gage with Plant-Based Eating for Health podcast show. I'm talking with Justin Manning. He is a financial planner, a vegan financial planner. You can find his information at justinmanning.com or is it .co?
It is .com. You're right.
.com. Okay. And you can find him on all the socials with Justin Manning. He's all over the place. And what I love is how you've really niched down in your market, because one of the things that a lot of people fear when they niche as much as you have is they think they're going to lose a lot of business. And truth be told, there are people that won't do business with us if they find out, for example, that we're vegan. Some people are those crazy vegans. Other people are like, ooh, I want to work with somebody who has an aligned set of values as I do. And what's happening now is even micro niching, a niche within a niche. And so I really commend you for that. And I would love for you to share with people what your recommendations, if somebody is sitting on the fence with going plant-based vegan, what are 3 steps that they could take that would get them closer to that?
Wow. Great question. Great question. Again, I'm going to go back to dispelling all myths. It's not restrictive. You're not missing out on anything. It's absolutely delicious. For me, in my experience, one of the first things that I noticed right away, and similar to you, Kathleen, was I wouldn't even almost say a reduction. I would go as far to say an elimination of inflammation. So if anybody is me, and my story was when I gained all that weight, people weren't commenting on it. They just thought maybe I was a little bit bulking up, but internally I knew that I was unnecessarily uncomfortable. So for anybody listening who might feel unnecessarily uncomfortable, know that the food is delicious. You're going to likely add years to your life. And overall, you're just going to have I think, a better sense of sort of internal self-peace in the food choices that you make. So hope that answers that question.
Well, you gave me one. Give me 2 more. Like, what could they do with their environment, with their spouse, with their children? What are some recommendations?
Sure. One place to start would be to incorporate a meatless meal into your week. So we've all probably heard of Meatless Monday. That's a great place to start. So I would incorporate that. And then second, I didn't follow this tip until after I went vegan, but I know for a lot of people who are on that journey of going fully plant-based vegan that it does help for them. And that is find some documentaries to watch to help stick. I've heard from tons of people. That's actually probably the common thread that I've heard people say, that is what made me make the switch. And I'm so glad I did. And I wish I did sooner, is usually what follows. And there's one out there right now that just premiered last week, Seaspiracy. That's a great one to watch. I can say going into it, I was a little bit nervous and thinking that I would be, depressed after watching it, but I didn't feel that way at all. So I would recommend some documentaries, going meatless once a week, maybe then push it to twice a week, and just knowing that you're not missing out on anything.
Excellent recommendations. And I've heard of Seaspiracy. It's on my watch list. And I agree about the documentaries. I actually was on an interview myself earlier today, and the woman that was a co-guest with me, she said, I can do everything but dairy. She goes, I just can't give it up. And I said, no, it's not that you can't, you won't, you choose not to at this point. And I recommended that she watch the short film. It's a 5-minute short film called Dairy is Scary. You watch that, you'll never do dairy again, but the documentaries definitely have helped. So I definitely am going to watch that one. And I do love what you said about it's not that you can't do something, it's you choose not to. So in closing, what are your final thoughts for people, and what would you like to leave people with?
What I would like to leave people with is back to what I said at the top of the hour here, which is we don't know what we don't know. So having that compassion with ourselves and those around us that we don't know what we don't know is vital. We're all on our own journey, and there is no point to compare yourself to others. We're all on a completely different path. And so just finding out if you can be better than you were yesterday, that might literally be taking your yoga mat out of the closet, dusting it off and rolling it out on the carpet, and not doing any yoga, but just literally pulling your mat out and putting it in an open space. That might be your better than yesterday. Going meatless once a week might be better than you were off yesterday. And all those small habits are going to build up. It is just like financials. Things can improve over time drastically, but we all know that they can decrease over time drastically as well. So what I'd like to leave everybody with is that the small steps matter, and there's no point in comparing yourself to anyone else.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you. I was thinking about recently, I was doing some yoga, and my pit bull decided that he wanted to do yoga with me on my head. He was doing a downward doggy on my head. It's like, no, Chance, go away. But thank you for that. Justin, this has been delightful. I really appreciate all you've shared. And you can find Justin Manning at justinmanning.com. I encourage you, look him up. And if you're in Canada and you're vegan and you want a financial vegan insurance agent, talk to him, and he can refer you and recommend some people in the States if you're in the States. And as far as UK and all that, do you know people over there?
I do. LinkedIn is a beautiful place. I've connected with tons of amazing, like-minded folks.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Justin, thank you so much for your time today. And I want to wish everybody a very healthy, vibrant life. Go out, do what you're here to do, and live healthy. This is Kathleen Gage with Plant-Based Eating for Health podcast show.
Thank you for your commitment to an ethical life through plant-based food choices. The kind of choices that are kind to your body, the environment, and most of all, animals. Be sure to leave a review and rating of the Plant-Based Eating for Health podcast show.